Hello and welcome back to Russ's Movie Corner. My name is Russ, and as you can see, I am sitting in front of my movie corner. Have my Through Faith t-shirt on, my King of Kings movie right next to me, and judging by the frame around me, we are back, taking on another atheist. Today on the chopping block, it is SciManDan, also known as SciManDan, from England. This was a video that just came across my feed. And again, like when I see these, I feel like the Lord is kind of poking me and prodding me to do it. So we're going to do it. And so basically, what we're going to do is we're going to start off the video, and then it'll go for about 30 seconds. And then he has an ad until about 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So when we get to that point, I'll just grab onto the bar, we'll go out to that point, and then we'll start kind of the video from there, and then we'll kind of go from that point. So this video is titled Scientific Evidence for the Existence of Adam and Eve. And then he has a question mark, and then he says, surely not, question mark. Okay? The channel that he's going to talk about is Standing for Truth. And if anyone follows any of Kent Hovind's debates that he's done in the last few years, or anything like that, he's always on Standing for Truth. And that's Donnie. He's the guy who kind of runs the channel there. He's a decent fellow. He's a Christian. And his channel, Standing for Truth, is a channel that like, Donnie himself doesn't like jump into the middle. He just plays the moderator. And what he does is you basically have two parties that call into his channel. And during the debate, what ends up happening is that, like, one side will be shut off, okay, completely. Their mics will be mute. And if they try to unmute their microphone to try to speak, Donnie will mute their microphone, okay? He has a button. He has, like, a master switch that he can, like, turn off their microphones, okay? So that they can't, they might be trying to speak, but, like, nothing will come through, okay? So it gives the person time enough to be able to answer questions, be able to talk, be able to do things, okay? It's a very, very decent channel, okay? So without any further ado, let's jump into this. Like I said, the intro is about 30 seconds, and then we'll jump forward to the 2 minute and 7 second mark.
Standing for Truth is a channel which openly attacks evolutionists, and they provide evidence for things such as Noah's flood and 800-year-old biblical legends. However, they have now done the impossible. They have proved something, allegedly, which until now I thought was completely unprovable. They have evidence for the existence of Adam and Eve.
Okay. So, we're going to jump forward. Okay.
Site-wide. Right.
Okay. So let me pause this for a second. Let me just answer that. So yes. Here's what we know. All Y chromosomes come from the male. Okay? So, if you're a male, doesn't matter if you think you're a female, if you're a male, if you were born a male, biologically, okay, you have a penis and testes, okay, talk like me, your voice might be deeper, your voice might be a little higher pitched, but you talk like me, okay, you look like me, you're a male. Okay? That means you have two chromosomes. You have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. If you're female, biologically, okay, you have a uterus, you have a breast, you have much higher pitch, usually longer hair. You have two X chromosomes. Okay? So, the point that I'm trying to make here is that this gentleman that we're going to be hearing from, okay, I think his name is Tom Scuderet, I think. He is taking his thing off of two things. The first one is a paper that was written. The second one was Dr. Norm Jeanson's research. okay, called Traced. And I will leave a link in the description below, okay, that basically says that that Dr. Jensen had an idea for his. He wanted to try to prove Noah's Ark, okay, because we have a pretty good genealogy in different countries, okay? They have kings lists going back to, certain types of people. There are certain countries that have genealogy stretching all the way back to the time of Noah. And we kind of know where some of these families went, okay? So we know that, I'm trying to remember the names, but basically we know that 2 of the brothers stayed there. The other 2 left, okay? Or the other 1 left. So, the sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These were the 3 sons of Noah, and from them came the people who were scattered over the earth. Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and laid uncovered inside of his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness and told his 2 brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders, and then they walked backward and covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned the other way so that they would not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his wine and found out that his youngest son had done, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves. He will be to his brothers." He also said, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend the territory of Japheth. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem. And may Canaan be his slave." So, basically, we have the Japhethites, okay, which gives us the sons Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, Tirias, the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah, and then the sons of Javan, okay? And then the Hamites, the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, and then the sons of Cush, and then the sons of Ramah, okay? And then we have the Semites, which are basically the sons of Shem, okay? The sons of Shem, this is one of the reasons why we call the Jews Semites, and why we call people who hate the Jews anti-Semites, is because they are descendant, mostly, from Shem, okay? Who was the firstborn son of Noah, okay? So, Dr. Norm Jensen, okay, in his book Traced, okay, I'm writing myself a little note here. Okay. Dr. Norm Jensen, in his book Traced, he basically found out that with a lot of this new technology that we have today of being able to do DNA tests, like with Ancestry.com and certain things like that, okay, where you take the little cotton swab, you swab it on the inside of your mouth, you throw it down inside the little thing, and then you send it away, and they send you back a report, or they email you a report, and you read it, and you see who all your ancestors were and where they came from and all this kind of stuff. He found that you could trace the male Y chromosome back through the time to 3 persons off of Noah's Ark. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay? And because you could trace your lineage back that far, and because we have such detailed records of who came off, and a lot of people have lineages stretching back, you can kind of figure out, okay, you came from this person, this came from this person, blah, 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 okay? So, basically, and science now has said that at some point in the distant past, there was a single human male and a single human female, okay? Now, in science, they have found that mitochondria comes from our moms, from our female side, okay? So all of the mitochondria in your body, be you male or female, all the mitochondria in every single one of your cells came from your mom, okay? And then all of her mitochondria came from her mom. But your dad, all of his mitochondria came from his mom, okay? So the men don't pass on any mitochondrial DNA. Using that unique signature, they trace that back, and they found that in Africa at some point, or kind of in sort of the Egypt, Middle East region, there was likely some kind of common ancestor that they named mitochondrial Eve, okay? Because they can't resist goading it to the Christians by saying it's mitochondrial Eve. That being said, getting back to the video, okay? The reason why I set this up is because there was a paper that was written that basically said that there was some kind of an ancestor of humans, apparently. I was having a little trouble following the paper, so we'll probably pause and I'll read the paper out loud just so we can understand where he's trying to come from, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Back to today's video, which unbelievably has standing for truth, supplying us with evidence for the existence of Adam and Eve. Oh, I can't wait for this one. Take it away, matey.
And one observation that I find most evolutionists don't want to discuss when they're talking.
So, the guy on the far side over there is Donnie, okay? He runs the channel Standing for Truth. And then the guy right above me is Jay Siegert. He's the scientist who's going to be talking about the male Y chromosomes, okay? And the topic of debate on their, well, not debate, but the topic of their little podcast here is evolution probable or problematic.
Talking about this DNA similarity is specifically the Y chromosome, which is uniparentally inherited DNA, right? We get that from our fathers.
If you want to be technical, you get an X chromosome from your father too, if you're a girl.
Actually, that's true. But you, Dan, okay, Dan here, has an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. Okay? So that means that when his dad's sperm met his mom's egg, that was an X chromosome. Otherwise, he wouldn't be SciManDan, he would be SciManDana. Okay? Because he would be a girl. Because he would have two X chromosomes. That's the point! Moron. I think we all understand sex and how it works.
But yes, you can only get a Y chromosome from the paternal side.
Well, it turns out when they sequence the chimpanzee Y chromosome, it's only about, when you consider overall architecture, gene content, and size differences, Jay, it's only about 35% the same. So that is a ton of genetic differences and just massive chromosomal rearrangements to account for in just 6 million years.
In the paper, Dynamic Evolution of Growth.
Okay. So this is the paper that he's talking about. Okay. So basically what this paper is trying to say, okay, is it says chimpanzee, bonobo, gorilla, orangutan, and found that many other repetitive sequences and multi-copy genes were likely already present in their common ancestor. Y repeats had increased intrachromosomal contact, which might facilitate preservation of genes and gene regulatory elements. Chimpanzee and bonobo, experiencing high sperm competition, underwent many DNA changes and gene losses on the Y. Our research is significant for understanding the role of Y chromosome in reproduction of non-human great apes, all of which are endangered. The mammalian male-specific Y chromosome plays a critical role in sex determination and male fertility. However, because of its repetitive and haploid nature, it is frequently absent from genome assemblies and remains enigmatic. Y chromosomes of great apes represent a particular puzzle. Their gene content is more similar between human and gorilla than between human and chimpanzee, even though human and chimpanzee share a more recent common ancestor, to which they can't provide that because our DNA is so different. To solve this puzzle, here we are constructed a data set, including Ys from all extant ape genera. We generated assemblies of the bonobo and orangutan Ys from short and long sequencing reads and aligned them with publicly available human, chimpanzee, and gorilla Y assemblies. Analyzing this data set, we found that the genus Pan, which includes chimpanzee and bonobo, experienced accelerated substitution rates. Pan also exhibited elevated gene death rates. Those observations are consistent with high levels of sperm competition in Pan. Furthermore, we inferred that the great ape common ancestor already possessed multi-copy sequences homologous to most human and chimpanzee palindromes. Nonetheless, each species also acquired distant amplionic sequences. We also detected increased chromosome contacts between and when palindromes from human to chimpanzee data, likely facilitating gene conversion and structural rearrangements. So basically what they're saying there is that when they looked at the male Y chromosome across orangutans, bonobo apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, they found that in the Pan, which is the genus, which is the one just above the species level, that in that particular one for the chimpanzees, and because I think Pan is for chimpanzees and bonobo apes and all that kind of stuff, because of how monkeys have sex, right? Any male monkey can walk up to a female monkey that's in heat and have sex with it. And so there's a lot of competition. And so what they're saying here is that the chimpanzee and bonobo up here, the chimpanzee and bonobo experiencing high sperm competition underwent many DNA changes and gene losses on the Y. Because what's happening is that they have to reproduce so many times, and also if they're interbreeding, which means that they're actually having sex with their mother, like the offspring are having sex with their mother, having sex with their sister, having sex with their close cousins, that's causing degradation on the Y chromosome, which is kind of what this whole paper is talking about here, is that there's been significant degradation, and the point being that how is it that our species doesn't have that much degradation on the Y chromosome? So let's jump back into this. He's going to mention this paragraph in blue up here.
Great ape Y chromosomes. The author states, the Y chromosomes of great apes represent a particular puzzle. Their gene content is more similar between human and gorilla than between human and chimpanzee, even though human and chimpanzee share a more recent common ancestor. To solve this puzzle here, we constructed a dataset including Ys from all extant great ape genera We generated assemblies of bonobo and orangutan Ys from short and long sequencing reads and aligned them with the publicly available human, chimpanzee and gorilla Y assemblies. Analysing this dataset, we found that the genus Pan, which includes chimpanzee and bonobo, experience accelerated substitution rates. Pan also exhibited elevated gene death rates. This means that we know why that is the case. And for some reason, you failed to mention the high similarities between the Y chromosomes of humans and gorillas.
Not necessarily. Okay? Because he just started talking. And he was saying that in this paper that there's been a lot of degradation, which means we can't know with utter certainty that chimpanzees and humans shared a common ancestor because of that degradation. Okay? Because they're saying that now orangutans and gorillas share a closer Y similarity to humans than do bonobos and chimpanzees because of that degradation. You didn't listen to what the man said, which is typical for SciManDan.
I wonder why.
Probably because you didn't pay attention to what he was saying. Because he actually did say that. If you go back and watch Donnie's opening argument there, when he's talking about that, he's like, we noticed this about this paper, and then Jay here is going to start talking about that.
Yeah, and the whole thing that relates to secular scientists making the claim that they believe that we all, on the entire planet, we have all come from one male and one female. Now, before you think that sounds like the Bible, they're quick to say, no, this isn't the biblical Adam and Eve, don't get excited. Yes, but there was one male and one female, but there were other people living at the time, but their genetics didn't get passed on, just the one male and one female.
Yeah, and so basically how they're trying to spin this within the evolution theory is that either somehow everybody was sterile, or somehow this one male and this one female mated, found each other and mated, and then like their genes passed on to their offspring, and all of the rest of the species died out at that time, even though they have no fossil record evidence for it and they have no way of knowing if that's what actually happened. But remember that in evolution, everyone else has to die off for all of those genes to get passed on. So if there's one male and one female, because we know that there's only one for the mitochondria and there's one for the Y chromosome, if there's one male and one female, what does that tell us? Probably that this is true. Right? And that evolution is bupkis. Why? Because if there were people living at that time, then how would they have died off? Why didn't they have evolutionarily advantageous traits that they tried to pass on? See, this is what they never, ever, ever answer. It's always hand-waved away as, oh, it just wasn't evolutionarily advantageous. Oh, really? Why isn't Homo erectus still around? Why isn't Homo neanderthalis still around? Because according to their theory, all those people had to die off for human Homo sapiens to take over. Because, like, for Homo neanderthalis to take over, Homo erectus had to die. And for Homo sapiens to take over, Homo neanderthalis had to die. But if Homo neanderthalis and Homo erectus had evolutionarily advantageous traits, wouldn't they still be living somewhere? They can never, ever, ever explain that. Because to them, they all have to die out. Somehow, and as if by magic, they all have to die out. That's the pathetic nature of the evolution theory. Okay? And don't get it twisted. It is still a theory. They don't have any proof for all this bullshit they're spewing.
And they initially said this male and female didn't even live together at the same time, which sounds kind of funny, but it could work out genetically. Theoretically, you'll skip that. But as they studied it further, the breaking news is, surprise, Y chromosome Adam and mitochondrial Eve actually apparently live together at the same time because they're looking at more realistic mutational rates and all that.
The point being that if they didn't live at the same time, who would Y chromosome Adam have married if it wasn't mitochondrial Eve? Or who would mitochondrial Eve have married if it wasn't Y chromosomal Adam? If we can trace this stuff back to these people, it doesn't make any sense logically. You can't say, oh, they lived at different times. What? Oh, darn. Just missed her by 30 years. Shoot. You're not going to pass on your genes, you morons. I mean, think about it. I mean, really plug it into your brain, okay? And think, oh, if a person was living and didn't have anybody to pass on his genes with, would he have ever mated? Would he have ever had kids? No. He would have died out, and those traits would have died with him. So they had to be at the same exact place at the same exact time, okay? Or within about 5 to 10 years of each other, okay? For them to be able to mate and have kids and be able to do what they needed to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. This is the idiocy of the evolution theory, is that they will stand there and say, oh, well, you know, like punctuated equilibrium could have, you know, happened where, oh, a reptile laid an egg and a bird hatched out. How? Who's that bird supposed to marry? Another reptile? Who's that bird supposed to have sex with? Can't have sex with the reptiles. But that's the problem with the evolution theory. And the way that evolutionists will hand wave it away, because I can already hear the fingers on the keyboards, okay? The way that they'll hand wave it away is by saying, that's not how the theory works. Yes, it is! Go read the damn papers. Go read the books. It's exactly what it says. If you don't understand that, then you are ignorant of the evolution theory.
They know we came from one male by studying that Y chromosome. They can tell we all share that one Y chromosome.
The issue here, of course, is that sex determination still happened before the Y chromosome evolved.
You're going to have to prove that, Dan. Where's the proof of that? Because in almost everything today, with the exception of like single-celled organisms, everything that is multicellular has male and female. XX, XY. Everything! So, how would sex determination have happened? Now, I agree that there are some amphibians out there, and there are some fish, and there are some animals out there that can switch their species, or can switch their gender at will, like certain types of frogs, for instance, okay? There are frogs that, like, if there's too many, let's say a population of females explodes, then one of the females will actually, like, flip genders and turn into a male, so that it can mate with the other females, okay? Now, I don't know, I'm not a biologist, okay? I'm not going to stand here and blow smoke and dust up your butt trying to figure out how this all works, okay? I don't know how God designed all these animals, okay? He did. Point being that Dan is going to have the burden of proof, and you'll see that he doesn't even provide proof of it. He just says it like it's a truth, that, oh, we were determining sex long before we had XX and XY chromosomes. How? Because if you look at a bacteria, okay, or an amoeba, any single-celled organism on the planet, it doesn't have a sex. How it reproduces is it goes through mitosis. Okay, it literally just splits its DNA in half and then splits itself off from itself. That's all it does. That's how it reproduces. Okay? We don't reproduce like that. no other animal on this planet, okay, because that's the only other kingdom outside of Plantae, okay, and some little subgroup of bacteria, eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells and viruses, okay. We have Animalia, we have Plantae, okay. In the Animalia kingdom, there is male and there is female because we are all multicellular organisms, and they have XX and XY chromosomes, and that's it. So the burden of proof is on you, Dan, to figure out how that would have worked. And it's up to you to show how that would have worked. Okay? The burden of proof is on you. It's not on me to try to sit here and try to puzzle out what you're trying to say. It's up to you to say, no, I think this is how it should work. And I think this is how things should happen. And then it's up to you to figure out, okay, how does that all work? Because as a Christian, I can tell you that your evolution theory is dumb just based on that one statement alone. Because you're not backing up that statement with anything at all. I can point to the Bible and say he created them, male and female, he created them. Talking about humans. But what does he say to Noah when he's going on the ark? Take 2 of every kind. 7 of some, but 2 of every kind of animal, a male and its mate, or a male and a female. He's not saying, oh, just grab a couple of these random animals and hope you grab the right ones. No. He brought them to him and he said, here's a male and a female. Here's a male and a female. Here's 7 pairs, males and females. Here's 7 pairs, males and females. That's what he did. So, honestly, that sort of statement right there just makes me laugh. Because it is so far beyond the realm of science, of what we can observe, study, test, and demonstrate, that's why you have people like me, okay? You have people like Kent Hovind, you have people like Ken Ham pushing back on this stuff because we're going, it's always been male and female, guys. And you can't say that it hasn't been male and female because the minute that you start to say that, the dumber you sound. I'm sorry. You do. Because it just starts to you start to go, wait a minute. Is this what science really says? Yes. This is what science really says. Just like they said, we came from a rock. And of course, all these evolutionists are going to say, no, we didn't. Yes, you did. You believe that you came from a rock. Because you believe that at some point in the past, and as if by magic, hydrogen and oxygen got together, created water vapor, and then got together into big drops and created rain, and it rained on the rocks for millions of years, and on those rocks were complex chemicals and molecules and all this stuff that slid down into the bottom, and down at the bottom were some volcanic vents. There was a primordial soup model, and then somehow, and as if by magic, all of these things got together and created life. So yes, you do believe you came from rocks. Okay? So don't deny it. Stop denying it. You do. And believing in stuff like this, what he just said there, okay, that, there was sex determination before X and Y chromosomes. Okay, prove it. You can't. You can't prove it. Okay? Because the fossils can't tell you if they were male or female. They really can't. Especially like fish and stuff. You can't tell if they were male or female. Because dead, their bones look the same. So, and you can't tell me that there were no male and no female fish. Because obviously there's fish in the ocean today, and there's male fish that spread their sperm, and there's female fish that lay the eggs. So, yeah, no. You can't tell me that.
So your Adam, as you put it, is irrelevant anyway.
And then
No, the Adam had to have been at the same time as Eve to pass on their genetic code, son. The Y chromosome to the males and the mitochondria to the males and the females. Okay? Because all of your mitochondria comes from your mom. Okay, all the DNA for your mitochondria comes from your mom. All of your XY chromosomes in your body, Dan, come from your father. And that is an indisputable scientific fact. Okay? And that is basic biology. You walk into any basic biology class, and that's what you learn when you get to the chapter on genetics. And you get to the chapter on meiosis and sexual reproduction. All females get XX, all males get XY. That's how it always has been. And it doesn't matter. And it didn't matter 10,000 years ago, using that as a round figure, okay? And it matters today. And it would have mattered millions of years ago. But the problem is, you can't prove it millions of years ago. But you're stating it like it is.
Female side, there's some DNA in the mitochondria of the cell, which is the powerhouse of the cell, and only females pass that on. So by studying Y chromosome and mitochondrial DNA, they've determined one male and one female, and now they realize that they did live together at the same time. And when you take into account real mutational rates, not theoretical, you go back about 6,000 years. They also believe that in our not too distant past, almost everyone became extinct, and only a small group survived to repopulate the planet.
They are insinuating the Great Flood here, of course, but to believe that would mean believing mass incest, so...
Actually, yes. Because back then, the genetic similarities between Noah and all of those people would have been the same. Keep in mind, Dan, because you've never actually read the Bible, that the incest laws that God put together didn't come until like 1,500 years after the flood, when the Exodus from Egypt happened, in the second book, son. Keep in mind, Abraham was married to his half-sister. Yes, Sarai was his half-sister. Okay? And like Rachel and Leah, whom Jacob married and had the 12 sons, okay? Keep in mind that Rachel and Leah were like first cousins to Jacob. Okay? So, yeah. It's fine. You see, nowadays, because our genetic code has degraded so far because of the mutations, the negative mutations, okay? The more genetically similar we are, the worse it gets. But we're all 14th cousins anyway, because we're all related to Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Again, check the link in the description, okay, for Norm Jeanson's Traced, okay? I will leave a link to a video that Norm Jeanson did. It's kind of long and it's a little technical, but he and Ken Ham talked about, like, Ken Ham had this thing done where he was traced back to a certain amount, and Dr. Jeanson kind of talks about his research, talks about what he found, and does all of that stuff. Norm Jeanson is a genealogist. Okay, he's a geneticist. He has studied genetics. And he started noticing that there were differences, huge differences, between human DNA and chimpanzee DNA. So much so that we would never have been a part of that branch. Because, again, as I've said on this channel, you can't mate with a monkey and produce offspring. Because they have a different number of chromosomes than we do. You can mate dogs and wolves. You can mate lions and house cats. I mean, you'll get weird offspring, but you could, okay? And you'd have to do it by IVF. Because a lion would likely scoop up the house cat and chew the hell out of it. Okay? But you could. That's the point. Because they're the same kind of animal. We're not apes, folks. Don't get it twisted. We are not apes. We're going to end it here. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of this video series. It's only probably going to be about 2 videos long because we only have about 5 minutes and 45 seconds left. And I know, like, in this one, we only did the first 6 minutes, but like a minute and a half of that was his ad read. So, you know, I mean, and we skipped over that. So, you know, I tried to go as long as I could, but I've been filming now for a while. I'm getting a little hungry. It's kind of around dinner time here, so I'm going to end this video. And as we say, we will see you on the next one.